I'm either gonna die,
Yeah.
be homeless, or be in jail.
Okay, guys. Okay. Get ready. I'll tell you what, today is a special episode for me. Our guest today has truly lived a story that feels a lot like a Hollywood script, but I can tell you that it is real, it is raw, and it is so incredibly inspiring. We are talking to my friend Jason Ferguson. Now, Jason was a D1 football player with a full ride scholarship to the University of Hawaii. Come on, how beautiful is that? Until a devastating injury and a series of bad choices sent his life into a decade-long spiral of addiction. Now, for a long time, it looked like his story might end in tragedy, but I am wildly grateful to say that Jason fought his way back into lasting recovery. Not only has he been clean for over 8 years, now he's rebuilt his life from the ground up, one brutal, honest, and relentless step at a time. Since then, get this, he's led high-performing sales teams across multiple startups. He played a key role in a Google acquisition, and today he serves as director of sales at Service Titan, which is a $9 billion software company that recently went public in one of the most successful IPOs in recent history. Let's put it this way, Service Titan is a freaking rocket ship, and Jason's helped to scale it from the early days. Now, today, he's also a trusted advisor to founders, a success coach to executives, and a wildly impactful keynote speaker. And in full transparency, Jason is a coaching client of mine. It's been a full-on honor and a true pleasure to walk alongside him as he's been building his consulting, coaching, and speaking business. But I tell you that mainly because it's also given me a front row seat to see that Jason lives his message every freaking day, day in and day out. And that's why he's so successful and so impactful. And that's why I'm stoked for this conversation. It's going to be a blast. Before we start, though, I want to let you know I'm very excited to say that Jason's debut book, it's going to be a bestseller, I can tell you right now, is coming out soon. It's called Nobody's Legend is Raw. Seriously, it's awesome, but it's raw, it's unfiltered, it's packed with great stories and real-life mindset tools and strategies that have helped Jason turn his life around and live an amazing life that he loves. I can't wait to dive into all this. Seriously, this is redemption. This is reinvention. This is freaking Jason Ferguson. Jason, welcome to Dream Think Do, baby.
Come on, Mitch with the intro. The fire intro.
I love my intros. My intros are my guests and my people. I'll tell you what, I love it, man. That one was fun to write, too. It was like, sheesh.
Love it.
I love it.
I'm so grateful to be here, man. Excited to be on your show and be able to provide any kind of value to your audience. So yeah, excited.
Well, it's funny because I thought about just like playing some of our coaching sessions, because every one of our coaching sessions, I'm walking away going, yeah. So like we could have played a recording of any of our sessions for this, but I am so excited to have this conversation because you're living it, man. And I will say that when we started working together, I only knew you from your current success. I didn't know about all of this background. And then when we started to talk about the book and you're like, dude, let me tell you a story. And let me tell you a story. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it's hard to imagine, elements of your story. Knowing you now, it's hard to imagine what this decade was like for you. So let's jump back let's talk pre-injury. Let's talk a little bit about what life was like, because with Dream Think Do, we talk to people all the time that are living their dream, but it's one thing to have a dream, feel like you are totally en route, like totally on task to get that dream, and to have it all fall apart. So let's talk a little bit about pre-injury life. What was the dream? What was life like?
So I have been an athlete since I was like 3.5 years old. Like, I was literally
came out
as an athlete. Kids would sleep in their bed with like a stuffed animal, and I had like a football clutched in my arms. Like, my mom tells this wild story of me being 3, like not wanting to give it up, right? So like was my identity, if you were in LA, in the early 90s, you knew the Ferguson brothers, and like particularly Jason Ferguson is like this little undersized fireball of an athlete. A lot of people can't see me right now, but on my best day, I'm 5'5", you know, in high school, like 130 pounds soaking wet. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
prior to being in high school and college, I was always this like little guy, but just obsessed with sports.
Yep.
And just that, you know, became my identity very quickly. And I had these massive dreams, like very early,
Yeah.
of getting a scholarship, you know, playing in the NFL, retiring my mom. You know, my idea of success was like always being able to hand my mom the keys to like a brand new
Yeah.
house.
Come on.
So, you know, my life leading up to, you know, making it to the next level college wise was always filled with like these grand dreams and like big, massive, ideas of what I can do, you know, as an athlete. And, you know, a
Yep.
lot of it was cultivated by my mom, who, you know, is also a huge mindset person, super affectionate growing up, and like was just very intentional about programming my brother and I when it came to how we think, you
Yep.
know, and like how we think about ourselves and fostering confidence and all these things. But I also played, you know, a ton of AAU basketball. So while
Yeah.
my dream wasn't making it, you know, as a basketball star, playing with some of the best athletes in all of Los Angeles cultivated that competitive spirit in me, but also
And again, let's keep in mind you're not 6'11",
no,
right? So to play with some of the
yeah,
best players in LA
yep,
basketball, like that's a big deal. Like I love that you had to, you know, address. It wasn't like okay, this didn't surprise you, right? Like
no,
there were things that could have made you feel like disqualified, right? But you just always found a way in the room. You got it done, and man, you
yep.
brought that fire, you brought that passion.
Brought the fire, brought the passion, and even as an undersized basketball player, man, I was a dog, man. I was in there playing lockdown D, just a little fireball. And I think like the
Yep.
magic behind, you know, my early success in sports was my effort. You know, like I wasn't
Yep.
born with the prototypical size. I didn't,
Right.
you know, I wasn't the fastest. I was really quick, but I was never the fastest. Couldn't shoot the best. Definitely didn't catch the ball the best, right? But like I was an absolute dog. Work ethic was always there.
Yeah.
And, you know, the beauty in playing basketball with, you know, some of the, you know, biggest stars that came out of my era, like Trevor Ariza and Tyson Chandler, guys like
Yeah.
this, it cultivated the idea of getting a football scholarship or
Yep.
getting a scholarship. Like that planted that seed of me
Yeah.
knowing, okay, sports is going to be my ticket out of the city. And from getting that scholarship, I could potentially go to the NFL, and I immersed myself in it, man. It became my obsession. And that was my dream, you know?
I love it. Well, and it's amazing because then, you know, it's when you look at percentages, when you look at all the data, getting a scholarship, full ride scholarship for the sport that you want at a D1 school, especially someplace like Hawaii, like that. I mean, the percentages, that's winning a lottery ticket in and of itself, right? So you get the scholarship, you're playing the game, you're living the dream, and then bam, what happens?
So let me take a step back even.
Yeah.
I get to high school and I wind up having like a phenomenal career very early on, you know, like I'm emerging
Yeah.
as this little itty bitty athlete that's, you know, dominating the game.
Nobody saw coming. Yeah.
And I say that humbly, you know what I mean? Like I'm not quick to just say, you know, I was dominating, but like I put in the work and I was doing really
Yep.
well. And right before my senior year, I tear my ACL.
Oh,
So
wow.
I get hurt, still get a scholarship, get to Hawaii, and my knee's recovering. I feel strong. You know, I
Yeah.
know a lot of people may not understand like what goes into the recovery of tearing your ACL. Usually you hurt other, you know, ligaments with it, like your medial and lateral meniscus. There's like multiple things that you
Yeah.
have to
There's a
recover.
lot of things you can bust in there.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it all blows up. And you know, I go big, right? So of
That's
course if I'm
exactly.
gonna blow my knee up, I'm gonna blow everything.
That's
So
right.
the recovery
Nuclear. Full
nuclear.
nuclear.
You know what I mean? Of course, in true J. Ferg fashion. But the recovery was intense, right? But I
Yep.
find myself in college, and my knee's stronger than ever. And
Wow.
you know, my freshman year, I wind up starting kick return. You know, so while I don't play a whole lot at the receiver position, you know, I'm like second string to an All-American. I'm learning. I'm getting
Yeah.
physically fit. I'm putting
You're
on
on the
size.
field. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
by the way, you're in Hawaii for
I'm in
crying out
Hawaii.
loud.
But I start kick return, and that gives me a lot of confidence. So going
Yeah.
into my sophomore year, I'm the guy. You know, like
Wow.
I'm positioned and primed to be a 3-year starter. And first game of the season,
First
tear
game,
my ACL again.
man. Right. So and you're how old at this point? You're 20? 21?
Well, I'm 20, maybe.
20.
Yeah, 20. I
Right?
guess.
So
My
I mean
first,
there's a lot of people who can't say they are living their dream at 20, but you were literally living your dream
yep.
and boom, it gets cut out. And not only like we're not talking about just an injury. Like this was painful. Like from a spiritual, from a heart level, but also from a physical pain level. And so that's when things started to go like wildly off track for you.
Yeah. So I fight with everything in my body, right? In my being to come
Yeah.
back. You got to remember, like, I was so close. I was right there
Right.
at like the precipice of, entering that like stardom that I had fought so
Yeah.
hard for, but not so much even the stardom, just the ability to like prove myself and fight towards getting to the next level. And when that got snatched away from me, obviously it was a huge identity shift because I
Yep.
tried with everything in my body to come back from that injury and just couldn't. So like my body was very prone to scar tissue. So no
Uh-huh.
matter what I did, no matter what doctor I went to, and I had Kobe Bryant's doctor. Like, listen
Come
to me,
on.
I had the same doctor that did
Real
Tom
deal.
Brady's shoulder surgery. So like, I'm like, yo, if they're good enough
You're
for
not
Tom,
messing around, right? Yeah.
they're good enough for me. And there's nothing that they could have done to heal me up, man. So after I want to say 18 months of just consistent rehab, I had to hang it up. And what came from that is what a lot of psychologists would call identity foreclosure, where you've wrapped your entire identity into like this one thing, right? And your
Yeah.
community also poured into your identity
Yeah.
surrounding this one thing, and it's all you know. And now you remove that, and it's like, who the hell am I? Like,
Yeah.
who am I? Oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? Like, I've never had
Yep.
to just sit with myself like this, virtually in the space of like the unknown. And I
Yep.
completely lost my mind. And it
Wow.
wasn't like oh, he lost
Yep.
his mind, right? It wasn't like a psychotic break where like I woke up the next day and was just out of my mind. It was a slow erosion of behaviors, thinking, habits,
Yep.
values that I completely allowed to fade. And I found myself deep, deep in Oxycontin addiction, opioid addiction.
Wow. That's incredible. And one, I so applaud you for being real about this. You go there in the book too. Like this is
Yeah.
such an important conversation because this was happening to you in your early 20s, but this there is a form of that's happened to so many different people. And I had another guest say that we can only heal what we reveal, right? Like and that's something for you. Like you've been very open about this, and I know for me, it was like, wait, what? This is your journey. But I
Yeah.
know when you share this to audiences, people like you can hear chins hit the chair in front of them because they're just like blown away because you're vibrant, you're alive. But like to know you experienced this low point. Yeah, and for a period of time, it wasn't a couple of weeks, wasn't a couple of months. It was basically a decade. What was it that made you say, like, I got to change? Like, was it a lightning bolt? Was it a microwave? Was it a crock pot moment for you?
For addicts, oftentimes, for those who aren't addicts, you hear like the terminology rock bottom, and it gets like summarized as like this one massive
Yeah,
thing.
one catalytic event or
But
something.
but
Yeah.
really, it's the compounding of moments, right? It's like
Yep.
all of the moments, and like what happens is you land on this one really crazy effed up moment that like breaks you just like the
Yep.
others did, right? But
Yep.
it's not that singular moment. It's like
Mm,
all of the lived lows and experiences
yeah.
that lead to this like catalytic moment where you're just like, I'm either gonna die,
Yeah.
be homeless, or be in jail. And I had to take a real hard look at myself. And it came on the heels. Like, I don't want to share too much because I want people to read the book,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it came on the heels of like a moment where I was humiliated and mortified and had to go home and basically answer to my wife as
Wow.
it pertains to my behavior.
Yeah.
And my wife, had just quit her job, and like my daughter was 1 month old, and
Oh,
I had just basically on the verge of losing it all. And that was one of the most difficult conversations that I've ever had to have, because she put so much trust in me,
yeah.
so much faith in me. I put so much trust and faith in myself, and for me to blow it all, in addition to all the craziness and the spiral and the things that I had humiliated myself on, right? I mean, there's a lot of that, but like that moment, I had like a defining moment, and it came down to a conversation that my brother had shortly after the moment, where he basically said, "This could be the moment that changes everything, not just for
Mm,
you, but for us." And he was speaking about himself professionally and
yeah.
personally, because while he's my
Yeah.
older brother, we lean on each other.
Yep.
And something about that conversation and me having to man up and go home and tell my wife what happened, I said, "I'm done."
Yeah.
And I didn't change it overnight, right? Like we'll probably
Right.
get to the work, but I became maniacal about figuring out what it's gonna take to get off of Oxy, but to rewire my brain. My
Yeah.
thinking was crazy. Like, yo,
Right.
some of the stuff that I did, like I look back at that and I'm like, who is this guy? Like
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
even, it's like I'm watching somebody else make those decisions. And I'm talking about there's some gnarly, crazy decisions, but I had to find a way to change my thinking and to create a new way of living that can help propel me into this version of myself
Yeah.
that I knew was in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew that
Right.
man was in there. I
I,
wasn't sure I was gonna pull him out.
he was
You
in
know?
there, right? He was in there, and I
Yeah.
love your brother that he would be willing to have that hard
Yeah.
conversation. I love your wife that she did receive you with grace. I know you guys are real and raw with each other, and you guys
Yeah.
have gone through some wars together. And I mean, you have an amazing marriage now, and all of that, which is incredible. But I love let's talk about that moment, because I know now, like your book and your life are just like a treasure chest of strategies and tools, like you
Yes.
said, to rewire your brain. But for you, especially at that time, because I know we got some Dream Think doers that are probably in that same soup. They might be close to that rock bottom, whatever it might look like for them. What was one of those strategies that you needed to start the process, to start rewiring, to start saying, no more, today's the day? What was one of those that really made a difference for you when you really started the pivot?
Yeah. I look, I wish I could say something that's gonna sound super simple, like, man, just take this little small first step.
Right.
But when you find yourself stuck and like broken, and it's on the heels of a series of just horrible decisions and crazy
Yep.
behavior, w- what it takes to get out of that has to be almost equally as crazy. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Let's just counteract the crazy with the crazy. No, I think it absolutely does, right? Because it, like those first moves and even in the middle, like it's going to be messy, right? So you have to go big to do something. You've been doing something big, it's just not been helping you. So
Yeah,
you got to go big, right?
yeah,
And it's probably going to be messy. You're probably not going to be good at whatever it is
for
you're going to
sure,
try to do,
for
right?
sure.
So I love that.
And I'm gonna hit you with like what worked, but like I just wanted to frame it like that because there may be
Yeah.
some coaches and speakers that have that first step, but for me, it was three things. It was clarity, honesty, and then like a system. And when I say
Mm,
clarity, the first step, right? And it basically came from me having to walk around the block for like 3 hours because I was terrified to go tell my wife what just happened. Right. So I'm walking around the block, just racking my mind over like the conversation. And then
yeah.
that kind of spiraled into like, man, like this isn't the man I want to be, but who is the man that I want to become?
Yeah. Who do I
And
want to be?
it made me feel like I needed to go home, have the conversation, and then journal to become crystal clear around like my future self, right?
Yeah.
And think of it as if I am him today. Like if I was that man today, what does he feel like? What does he look like? What does
Yep.
his relationships look and feel like, sound like?
Yep.
What does his career look like and why? And if I don't become this person, what is the negative outcome? Like what's going
Mm,
to happen if I don't take the
yeah.
steps, right, to become this man that I'm designing? And then when
Yep.
I say honesty, I had to be extremely honest with myself, man, about all of the things that like were contributing to this negative version of myself that I no
Yeah.
longer wanted to be, right? And I call it
Yep.
addition by subtracting. What
Right.
did I need to subtract from my life? And oftentimes it's the drugs, right? Obviously, but it was the way of thinking,
Yep.
and it was also people that I was surrounding myself with that were either bringing me down when it comes to like, the
Yep.
shared thinking or contributing to, my addiction. And I'm not placing blame. I'm just saying
No.
sometimes you have to let people go in order for you to move
100%.
forward.
Yep.
So those were the first two steps that I took, man. And then it was followed by action.
Yeah.
Like you get clear on who you want to become and you get honest around what you need to leave behind and why you need to leave it behind. And then that third step, when I say action, um, I think you need to create some sort of system. I call it win stacking, and we could,
Yeah.
dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But I created a system of like small, non-negotiable, mission-driven habits that I can
Yeah.
execute on every day that I know no matter what happens at work or what
Yep.
happens, in my household or what happens with all these other uncontrollable factors, if I
Yep.
hit these steps every day, I can be proud of myself, I can build momentum, and I know I can start becoming that man, that future version of myself that I desperately want to become. And
Yep.
over time, those habits have evolved, obviously, to what they look like now. But in the early days, it was like two things, right? It was like if I
Yeah.
just wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I
Yep.
read this book, like those are two steps that I could take every day to like conquer discipline and rewire my brain and start
Yep.
fighting, in addition to therapy and other things that I did. But yeah, man. So I know that wasn't like the super
No,
simple
this is
step.
perfect. And this is what I love about you, Jason, man. You've got the acronyms and all the stuff, right? But it's like, I also just appreciate it being real. It's
Mhm.
always real with you. And I think it's such a beautiful thing and it's revolutionary. I wish it wasn't revolutionary, but to be real and raw has
Yeah.
become revolutionary. So I appreciate it. I always love it when I ask a question. This is a little behind the scenes for
Yeah.
Dream Big Doers too. I always love it when I ask a question and my guest stops and thinks about it, because sometimes when that response is so fast, I'm like, oh, they might have said this before. Like, this might be a canned response. Not that that's a bad thing, but I always love it when people's like, wait, I'm going to be real here. Let's do this. So I love it. And what I love about this, and like I said, we've gotten to walk together for over a year now, which I truly love. And it's been a total pleasure for me. But I know you are still living by this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and you continue to upgrade. Like, you continue to upgrade the who, which doesn't mean you're like throwing away the identity you wanted to be, but you're continuing giving yourself space and time to say, okay, in this next season, who do I want to become now? Like, what does that look like? What does the world look like? What does our business look like? What's my life look like? And I love that you continue to challenge yourself. I think that's also, a lot of people think, well, once I do this thing, once I pivot, then it's done. It's like,
No.
no, this is continual. This is ongoing, and you continue to do that.
Absolutely. Because what happens is you start to evolve as you execute this game plan and as you
Right.
gain confidence. And as you evolve and you learn and you begin to trust yourself, the version of yourself that you're chasing starts to change. So the beauty in it is like there is no finish line.
Right.
It's in the work itself, right?
Yep.
Because the work is what's going to keep me on the fast track to being the man that I need to be, but the finish line is going to constantly evolve because I'm always growing. I'm always getting new crazy ideas that I run past my wife around, writing a book or investing
Right.
in real estate or this and that. So like who you're fighting to become is going to evolve, and like that's the beauty in it. But it's in the work itself that like gives you the fuel to take the leap and to slowly become a version of yourself, right? That you can
Yeah.
be proud of, man. And you can wake up and be like, yo, like I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Like I
It's
can never,
happening.
I can't even imagine going back to being the man that I was because of the work and the commitment that I put
Right.
into, every day.
Well, and it's what I love is you are so clear on the who that you're becoming, right? Like the who that you are right now and the who that you're becoming. The past who's that just doesn't fit. Like it's there's just no way. So I love that. So all right, what I also love about this is the very strategies and habits and systems that you put in place to make this change. There's a version of those now that you are continuing to do this to have the achievements, to have the wins. And guys, trust me, for the intro, those bullet points I listed of, Jason's success, I could have gone for another 45 minutes. So lots is going on, lots of great stuff, lots of breakthroughs. Let's talk about some of those strategies that you lean on daily, because you are a systems guy. I love that about you. Let's talk about some of those systems that you're continue to lean on to, keep that brain wired in the right way, to keep the habits going in the right direction, all those things. So what are some of those specific strategies and systems that you use today?
So I'm a huge reader, and we'll get to that. But James Clear has a quote, right? He wrote Atomic Habits, where he says, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, right? You fall to the level of your systems." Yeah. And anytime I start thinking about not like wanting to work my system, or getting content because of the success that I found, think about that, and it just like reinvigorates me to continue to double down. So I have a system or series of non-negotiable mission-driven habits, and I know that's a mouthful, but I believe that your habits have to be mission-driven, right? What is the mission? Total clarity, right? And it's essentially 4 things that I do, right? That's in my system every day, and it starts with a 4 a.m. wake up. And I know that sounds excessive and extreme, and it is. Listen to me, y'all. Like, I get it. Waking up at 4 a.m. is insane, and there's a couple reasons why I do it. One is because there's so many things I want to do outside of Service Titan, and I need time. And, oftentimes you have to create time, right, in order to get those things done, like write a book. I can't write that during the day. I have a full-time job. I'm director of sales, right? So like I have to create time. But more importantly, I had to find a way to battle that voice that kept pulling me back into Oxy. That voice that would say, just one more, or we'll get clean tomorrow. We'll start the journey tomorrow. When your alarm goes off at 4, what do you think the first voice is in your mind? Hit snooze. Right?
Snooze. Yeah, right.
Up early tomorrow. Dude, I've been doing this for like 4.5, almost 5 years, and every morning that voice is still there. So it gives me the opportunity to dominate that voice and maintain control while, work early in my
From minute one, right? Not like, 9 o'clock, I'll make a good decision.
Minute one.
From minute one of the day.
Minute one. And it also falls in line with the concept of win stacking, right? Like we want to stack small, insignificant wins that will give you momentum and confidence. So no matter what happens at your job or in your household or wherever, you can look back and say, man, I won the day. So waking up at 4 a.m. is the first thing. The second thing is reading. Yeah. I read like a madman, and I want to read everything, man. Like I was a kid in school that you couldn't get to read a book, and like I would not do my homework, but like I was a decent writer, so I would get by, just by like doing the bare minimum. And I realized that like I love reading. I was just reading the raw material, and like I had to figure out, the books and the literature that was out there that spoke to me. So like self-help, memoirs, biographies. I just dive into all things, consistently.
I'm gonna stop you because like I love the 4 a.m. We could talk about that for an hour. Win stacking, absolutely. Reading. I want to talk to you about this because this is truly like I trust and know basically everybody that I interview, all of that. But for you, like I know this is absolutely true. But a question I've never asked you and I've wanted to is you are a voracious reader, but you're also wildly intentional. You're not like, in the wind just reading whatever, the USA Today tells you to read. How do you choose what you're reading, especially in your morning reading? Right? Like, I know this is an intentional window for you. There is a billion books that you could be reading or listening to. How do you choose?
Yeah, so I'm very self-aware of like where I'm at in my season. What am I going through? What do I need? I feel like our spirit is constantly like guiding and talking to us about like what we need, and oftentimes we ignore it. So I just try to be really intentional about where I'm at. Sometimes I'm like struggling at work, and I feel like I'm not showing up as the leader that I want to be. So I know I need to dig into leadership. Sometimes I want to draw inspiration, not from a framework, but from a story. So I go digging for like an amazing memoir that I hopefully can connect with. And then other times sometimes I might be thinking like, man, I'm finding myself struggling getting up in the morning, and I'm finding myself struggling drawing from inspiration, but I need more of a framework. So I'll go digging for, a more prescriptive self-help personal development book, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I usually just come from a place of honesty and like what
Yeah.
I feel like I need. And then the other thing is, I started a book club with some of my best friends, man. Like, and I know that sounds like a really nerdy thing, but it's like the dopest thing in the world. It's like me. Oh my God,
Nerdy things work, man,
I love
right? Like
nerdy
that's
things.
huge, right?
Yeah,
And I know your friends, like I think it's one of those that if you commit to reading and you don't
dude.
show up having read the book, they like talk about raw. They're not
I've
gonna let you
almost
out.
lost friendships over poor book reviews. I kid you not. Like we've gotten into it because we hold each other accountable, right?
Yep.
And from the book club too, we also get phenomenal recommendations. And I
Yeah.
think the beautiful thing about books is, you know, you don't necessarily just hear about them online or
Yeah.
in like a review. You're hearing about it from word of mouth, man. So if
Yep.
it makes it to you as a recommendation from a close friend who's also an avid reader, 9 times out of 10, it's got some heat in there. You know
Yeah,
what I
right. And well, that's the thing. You surround yourself with people who are on a similar journey, or at
mean?
least journey adjacent, right? So you
Yep.
can trust their perspective. They're going to push you. You're going to push them. So that's beautiful.
Yep.
Just even in 2 minutes, what does book club look like? Are you guys meeting virtually? Are you guys meeting at a coffee shop, a bar? Like, what does that actually look like for somebody that's like, wait, this dude's like a badass and he's doing a book club with his buddies? Like, what does that look like? You're not, what is this in 2 minutes or less? What does book club for Jason look like?
Man, I'll keep it 30 seconds. We pick a book. Everybody gets a chance to pick their book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once a month, we read the book. We meet once a month virtually and we discuss and we do a round robin. And usually it's like a happy hour. So like, some of us will be drinking coffee, other people will be drinking, beer, they get their
Yeah.
drink, whatever. And it's just 12 or 11 or 12 best friends on a call,
Amazing.
shooting the ish on like an amazing topic, an amazing book, and giving our unfiltered feedback. And sometimes we disagree with everything we read in the book. And that's the
Yeah.
beauty. It challenges
That's
your
beauty.
thinking, not to just buy in on what the author's
Yeah.
saying, but to double down on maybe an opinion that you have or a belief system that you have that to be true. So you get a lot of hot takes. And
Yeah.
it's once a month, man. We make it a light lift. It's got to be a
Yeah.
light lift. It can't be this thing where it's like, oh, we got book club today.
Exactly.
I gotta find a way to show up. It's like, no,
Yeah.
make it a light lift. Everybody gets a chance to pick the book, have a format, and like how you want the book to be reviewed, and it doesn't need to be that tight. And everybody just be honest.
Well, I love that. And when you look at the data, most Americans read one book every 5 years, something like that. It's a crazy number, but you're talking about 12 guys reading 12 books in 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, I know you read outside that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, what a great way to have that community, to push each other, encourage each other, have some laughs, and be learning on a consistent basis. Like, I
Always.
love
We're learning
that.
together. What's so
Yeah.
beautiful? We started this a while ago, years ago, and I've got to watch all of my closest friends elevate as well.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing
huge.
okay professionally, I get to watch the people that I love most, right? That aren't
Yep.
part of my immediate family, kill it professionally.
Yep.
And some could say like, oh, well, they're just talented. And I would say yes, and they do the work, man. Like we pour into each other. We created a community. We hold each other accountable. And I've gotten to watch my friends become ultimately successful professionally, but also as dads. Like,
Right.
and it's the
Oh, that's
greatest.
I know. You guys go after all the topics, man. So I love it. And plus 12 books in 12 months, like you guys can get after a lot of different
right.
topics, which is huge. I love it. I love it. All right,
yeah.
let's do one other strategy, and then I got another group
Real
of questions
quick,
for you.
though, real
Yeah.
quick. I'll keep the rest fast, but
No,
I wanna
that's fine.
get back to the rest of my system. So it's the early
Yeah.
morning wake up, the books. I make sure I get in the gym, right? Because I spent years in my addiction, like avoiding mirrors and like using the bathroom with the lights out. Like I went through all of that and I made a commitment to myself that like I'll never go through that psychological effect again. So I'm in the gym and it also stresses you, coaches you mentally as well.
Yep.
And then here's the cliche one that some people might, think I sound like one of those Instagram turned influencers, but meditation, man. I
Yep.
spent years saying, man, I'll never meditate. Like, what? Like, who wants to sit down and close their eyes and breathe deep and all of that stuff? But again, right, like my system had to be as crazy as I was when I was in my addiction. I was willing to
Right.
try anything. And now I meditate fairly consistently, man. And it's a
That's
huge part of what I've leveraged to transform.
It's huge. And it's amazing. Like I'm a big prayer guy, so I love prayer and meditation. Like what I love now is science is finally catching up with
Yeah.
what some people have known for thousands of years, right? I mean, just intentional breathing. Whether it's clearing your mind or filling your mind with the right things, right? And doing it intentionally, even for 5 minutes. I was actually looking at data today, 2 minutes of intentional breathing can completely change you at a DNA level, like at least serotonin, dopamine,
Oh yeah.
endorphins, all of that. It's so huge. And you can't say it enough because it's also so simple. It's so easy to dismiss or forget, right? So I love that you're bringing this up.
Oh yeah. There's a great book called I don't know if it's Breathe or Breath. You know, I've never been a bestseller.
Depends on how you read it, right? Like,
But
tomato,
listen,
tomato. Yeah.
type that in, you'll get a phenomenal book that speaks to everything you're saying, Mitch. Like
Yep.
the data and just the benefits that come with breath work and understanding the dynamics of that. So
Right.
great.
Oh, so good. So good. All right. Well, I mean, we're just, tip of the iceberg here, but I do actually want to get around to the title of the book. I want to say it again, but I want to talk about it. So the book that you've got coming out is called Nobody's Legend. What does that title mean to you? Why was that important?
Yeah. Man, just gets me a little bit emotional.
Yep.
So when I was at rock bottom, I wore my addiction on my face. You know what I mean? And I couldn't hide it from anybody, like myself, my family, my friends, etc. And like there was one particular evening when I was at my worst, and I went and hung out with a buddy of mine, and we saw some people from his high school, and he introduced me to them, and he was like, "Man, this is Jay Ferg, the legend. You guys know Jay Ferg." And I remember thinking, like, I ain't nobody's legend. You know what I mean? Like I'm this strung out junkie who's just barely getting by. And like the reality is that was kind of my identity growing up, like I was a great athlete, good looking kid, tons of friends and, admirers and whatnot. And I was dubbed as like this city legend somewhat, questionable,
Yep.
right? But I'm just,
Well, but you may not have been famous world round, but you were well known, right? Like you were absolutely well known. Yes.
and exactly. And especially in my city, right? And
Yep.
it became part of my identity. So like in that moment, right, when he's introducing me like that, and I had this I ain't nobody's legend moment, like that's how I really felt, right? And it killed me. It was like I felt like I lost all of the notoriety and like everything, every sense of my identity that like this city and like these external factors had put on me. You know what I mean? And when I lost football, I lost all of my confidence that went with it. So it was like, how could I be this legend from the city when like I don't even have the sport or any of what made me this legend? And as I began to do the work, right, like what I realized is I am a legend. Like, what are they talking about? But I'm a legend for everything that has nothing to do with those external factors, like being an athlete, right? Like, I had to
Yep.
do the work to become the legend that I needed to be in my household, the
Yep.
legend that I know I could be in my community, the legend that
Yep.
I needed to be to show up, right? Every day at work and like be the servant leader that I know I should be so we could produce those outcomes. So like it was almost like me reconciling the version of legend that I thought I needed to be versus the future legend that like meant something to me. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And like when I coach, that's what I try to extract, right? It's like there's a version of legend in everybody.
Yep.
It just can't be based on other people's perceptions. Can't be
Yep.
based on this narrative or like this identity that was created by our surrounding. It's got to be based on the version of yourself and your potential that needs to be tapped in to, if any of that made sense.
It totally makes sense. And it's from the heart. And what I love too is like you are a legend, right? Like you have done some incredible things, but when I think about it, like you are a legend to your daughter.
Thank you.
right? Like that,
Yeah.
you are a legend to your wife. And what I love about that is like, it's beautiful. Like I can, and you are going to become a household name. I have zero doubt of that because the world needs to be learning from
Well,
you, my
you are the
friend.
biggest encourager on the planet. I love you.
But
And
it's
I
true. Well,
believe
I encourage, but I don't BS. I told you that from the
keep
beginning, right?
real.
So, but it's
Wonderful.
true. Like you have chosen who you really want to be a legend to, and really, yeah, like you have built on that, and I friggin' love it. Now, I want to ask you one more question about the book, and then we're gonna get into some other areas. But I asked this question to Brendan Burchard, and he's like, I've never been asked that before. And I love this question. And I'll ask you, it sometimes makes people feel uncomfortable, but I know you'll be all about it. I know the book is packed with strategies. We already talked about some of your kind of milestone landmark strategies, but like the book is packed with strategies, stories, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Of all the strategies that you lay out in the book, and trust me, Dream Think Doer, get the book because it's one of those massive tool chests. Like you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you walk in and there's like the 6-foot high tool chest. That's what this book is. But when you think about all the tools in your book, what's one of them that's the hardest for you? Like you really have to choose to do it. What's one that doesn't come naturally to you?
I would say, especially in my early days, I had to fight for this. I think
Yep.
now it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's become more normal. Yeah.
Train myself, but authenticity.
Yeah.
Um, and like I know people might be listening to this and they're like, this guy sounds crazy. Like he's definitely being himself. But no, man, like so early on in my days in tech,
Yep.
I was pulled to the side and basically told that I sounded too urban on the phone. And I
Interesting.
interpreted that as somebody basically telling me like I sounded too black. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was already in a space that had very little African Americans, right? Like I
Yeah.
was like one of like maybe four, biggest tech company on the planet. And I felt in over my head, battling what is that? When
Imposter
you're like,
syndrome and all
there
that.
you go.
Yeah, right?
Imposter
Yep.
syndrome. Thank you. You knew what I was trying to say. And I was already going through all of those emotions, right?
Yep.
Trying to figure out the lay of the land, and then I get told that. So I spent the
Wow.
next like handful of months trying to mimic the guy next to me. I kid you
Sounding
not.
all vanilla,
I
right? Like,
kid you
nope.
I kid you not. Like I showed up, and even before that, I worked at a different company before that. Like I was so scared to truly be myself. Like I was
Yeah, to
showing
be
up as a
you.
version of myself that I thought I needed to show up as. And then
Yeah.
when I was told, how I sounded on the phones, it really threw me for a loop so much that it really started impacting my performance because
Yeah.
people can tell when you're being inauthentic.
100%. Yep.
Like
Absolutely. Well,
especially
I love, somebody told me the other day that persona, the word persona, is a Latin term. It's based on a Latin word for mask.
yeah.
And it's amazing. Like, so often when we're tempted to have a persona, the goal is to increase trust or connection with someone. And the irony is when we try to maintain a persona, put on a mask, it
Yeah.
does the exact opposite, right? Like, I can only imagine you being you is one of the most compelling,
See,
like that draws people in. But you trying to be somebody else, that often repels and it's exhausting. So that's amazing to me. That's
it
amazing.
repels, it's exhausting. It doesn't foster confidence or any sort of like genuine
Yeah.
excitement in like your accomplishments.
Yep.
It's an act, and I'm not a good actor. Like I'm not
Right.
like I was a good actor, like your
Yeah.
son,
You
right?
show up a billion% you. Like you can do
Like,
that all day long. But
yeah,
yeah.
like I was watching your son's reel the other day. Like he's a
Yeah.
phenomenal actor, man. I
Thank you.
can't wait to see what he does, right? But I'm not
Yeah.
nearly as good as him. So like
Right.
in order for me to keep that job, because I couldn't book a demo, it was full cycle sales. So I had to book demos, close the deal as well. And there's when you're new to a company, you have like a small ramp window, right? Where you're
Yeah.
supposed to
You got to
perform.
prove,
You
right?
got
You
to
got to
prove.
get it done.
And I found myself on the back end of that ramp window, and I was like, dang, I'm going to get put on a PIP soon, which is a performance improvement plan, and they'll cut you after that. And I learned a lot of this from one of my best friends, Colin Coggins. He wrote a phenomenal book called The Unsold Mindset, and a lot of the book is about authentic selling. But this is before the book. I called him, and he was like, he calls me Philly. He goes, Philly, you're the coolest person in the room, bro. People want to be you. Like, what are you? He said that word for word.
I love that. It's so true.
He's like,
right?
what are you doing? Like, go there. Forget what that guy told you.
Yep.
Go be yourself. And then he says something like, what you feel or define as imperfections are your superpowers. Like your urban accent, your raspy voice, your eccentric enthusiasm, and like the need to feel like you need to be loud. He's like, all of those things are like what make you unique. And like, that's what people are going to connect with. Like when you're authentic, you build a bridge and you allow people to then also show up as themselves. And that's what earns trust and fosters connection. It's like the real foundation, and not just in sales, right? Because like we were talking
That's
about,
true. It like that plays out in leadership, parenting,
and
relationships, all of it. That is so true.
All of it. And it changed everything, not overnight, but like after that conversation, it wasn't like a movie where I went in the next day and closed like 5 deals. Like, no. It took time because like I knew I still needed to walk the line of professionalism, but within the context of my personality and my spirit and my excitement to truly be there and to be grateful for the job. All these things need to be packaged into who I was. And before I knew it, I was the #1 seller in the building.
Come on. I love it. I love that so much. And you do. And that's also one of your superpowers on stage. That's one of your superpowers in coaching with your clients. Like, and that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about here, because I know, we talk to a lot of people that are doing amazing stuff. But all of our listeners are incredible people working on big dreams, trying to improve their thinking, trying to do more of what they were put on the planet to do. And teaching, speaking, coaching is something you've been meant to do for a long time, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like the world needs to be learning from you. Absolutely. Talk to me about why that was important. Because again, you've been doing this, you've been building your own business on the side with the approval of Service Titan, but you've been doing that. Why was that choice important to you? Why was it important for you to start to do this thing where you would step on stages, where you would coach and consult? Like, you've got wisdom in you, but there's like, it's an important step to say, you know what, I'm gonna do something with it beyond my day job. Why was that important to you?
I think two things. One, like I really felt like I had not figured it all out by any means. Because like my way is a way, not the way.
Right.
And I'm very clear on that, right? Like I think my way can work for a lot of people, absolutely, or inspire you to cultivate your own system and similar way of thinkings. But like I'm very clear on that. But like because I really poured myself in the work, I just felt this pull to truly get out there and share it, man. Like I knew there were athletes, executives, leaders that were going through similar struggles and like similar doubts and question marks and like having these secret moments that like nobody knew. We talk about it all the time, right? The biggest hitters on the planet, and there's cracks in the foundation that nobody knows about.
That's
like,
exactly right. They know it. Nobody else does.
Dogs, right? Like absolute dogs, and you'd never know. And I felt compelled, like it was my duty to go out there and share what I've learned, how I've learned it, and how it might help them. But in addition to that, right, I think part 2 of that is, in order to keep it, you got to give it away. Yeah. It's like in AA, the act of service, right? Like you got to be a person of service, dude. Like you got to give it away. There's something about helping people where it in turn comes back. And like it only makes you stronger and build community and all of those things. So like I knew it was my duty to like, I knew in order for me to sustain this, I also needed to get out there and do the work. And give it away. Yeah.
Which I love. And what I love too is that like you're getting paid really well for coaching and speaking, all those things, right? Because people value what they pay for. Right. And so getting paid well to do this kind of work is awesome. But I know for you, like even bigger payoff is impact and truly helping people and seeing light bulbs go off in an audience, or to have the breakthrough for the coaching client. What's been one of your favorite moments of kind of giving yourself permission to do your own thing, to speak, to coach, to consult? What's been one of those favorite moments? Maybe it's a surprise or not, but what's been one of those moments?
No, I'll be completely honest with you. So one, when I say give it away, you know dang well what I mean. Like I worked hard to get my asking price up to where it is as a speaker and a coach. So yeah, we'll put those in quotations when I say
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? But so I got into the business of speaking, and like that's what excited me, right? I didn't even consider coaching or consulting. Like there's a rush that I get from being on stage, whether it's 15 people in the audience or 15,000 people, right? I've done variances, big stage, small stages. Like I bring it no matter what, and the
100%
feeling that I
own
get.
that room. Jason
So
Ferguson owns that room. Yeah.
but that it was like limited thinking. And
Yeah.
when I reached out to you, right, for coaching,
Yeah.
you inspired me to see beyond just the stage,
Yeah.
right? And I'm talking like we're maybe a month in, and like I'm just wrapping my head around coaching and consulting, and we're working through strategy. And I look up and I've got an early tech founder knocking at my door for consulting. And I hadn't even considered it. And it's almost like, you put it out in the universe and you leave it with God and you pour everything you have into it. You'll be surprised at like what comes back around and like how it comes back around, the moment you open that door. So I think for me, that moment of, that first consulting client, and being able to like walk into that room with confidence and having done the work, and a month before that wasn't even thinking about that. To me it was just fascinating, and it also let me know you know how big this can get, and like how far I can go, and how many people I can truly help.
Yep. I love that. I'll never forget that text from you. Like, I don't text with all my clients, but I gave you my phone number, and you texted like, dude, this thing's coming in. I need help on this contractor that I think it was the proposal, whatever it was. And we like did that on Saturday, and you're like, it's sold. Like, we're doing this thing. Like, I loved that. But I also love like all the stories that have come from you getting to help these people. And obviously they pay you well, they should, but they're having massive breakthrough, and to see that satisfaction in you is just so freaking cool, right? And it's just the beginning of that.
It was
So
fascinating, man. And that snowball, dude. Like it went from, obviously I consult on the sales side, but like what excites me most is like the coaching piece.
Yeah.
It's like working with people just like me, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Who have all a variety of different needs and wants and goals, and to be able to help them achieve those goals and like pour into them and work with them. That's also been incredibly rewarding. But that first, just the fascination of that first booked opportunity when you weren't even really thinking, like it blew my mind, and I've been all in since, man.
I
Like,
love it. Oh yeah, you've been
best
getting after
work
it,
on the
which is
planet.
I love it. So I love this, and we're gonna start wrapping it up. I don't want to, but we're gonna start wrapping it up. But we've talked about like you had to first get clear on the who you wanted to be before you could start to dream about the what, right? And the how. But as you dream now, like, I mean, the thing, it continues to grow. Your business is growing. Things are going great with Service Titan. Your family's amazing. Like you need to keep upgrading the who, you need to upgrade the what, all those things. You're doing that. But what's dreaming big look like for you now?
Yeah.
What's one of the things that you're dreaming about in the next 5 to 10 years for you or your family, whatever? What's one of those big dreams for you that you're working on now?
Yeah, man. So I've obviously got the book. That was a big dream.
Yeah.
But the more immediate dream is more stages, you know what I
Yep.
mean? More consulting and more coaching, but like at the biggest level, and to make even bigger, massive impact in the lives of anybody that's willing to put their trust in me. I think that is the immediate goal. But I think outside of that, I also have big dreams around, investing.
Yeah.
I was part of, an IPO that did a lot for like me and my family, and when I blew out my knee, I thought, from a financial, and this isn't me bragging about my finances.
No, it's
People would
truth,
wake
right?
up with my bank account and jump. Okay, like this is, but I say that to say when I got hurt, I thought all of like my financial dreams were blown along with
Yep.
my ACL, and being part of this IPO, it put me in a position to like, one, I'll never think limited again, but like, real estate investing at like a big level, but then also investing in tech and like early stage startups. Like
Yep.
I'm starting to get bit by that bug. So
Yeah.
I love being in the corporate space. I love being a sales leader, but like I anticipate at some point, the coaching, the speaking, the
Yep.
consulting, and the investing is going to be my ethos full time, and that's the dream, and that's along with being, the leader in my family, and all of the family dynamic things that I've worked really hard to
Yeah.
not only get in check but keep in check. Husband, father, all of that stuff,
Yep.
man. That's continued to be part of the dream as well, man. I'm super grateful for it all.
I love it. I love it. And it's always fun to get to talk with people who are walking out big dreams, who experience big dreams. I always say big dreams have back doors, which means you achieve the big dream, you experience the big dream, and then you realize the back door is, oh wow, there's a whole new dream here that I didn't even know about when I started this journey. And I know you've experienced a number of those back doors. And I love how, the IPO and a number of these things are really opening up all new possibilities, right? You building a business that's growing, all that stuff. I love it. So I don't want to break. I don't want to stop, but we're going to wrap this thing up for time's sake. So let's leave people with one last strategy. Before we go there, I want people are going to be wanting to know where to find you, how to get the book, all that stuff. Where should they go first to start getting to know you better, to grab the book, all that?
Yes, so you could follow me or find me on Instagram, get hit underscore Jason Ferguson. Same on TikTok, get hit underscore Jason Ferguson. And I know you're probably asking yourself, like, get hit. It's a strategy in the book that you'll learn. But yes,
You love it. Once you get it, you'll get it. You'll never forget it. Yeah.
get hit underscore Jason Ferguson. My website is jfinspires.com. And you can also find me there for coaching, speaking, consulting,
Yeah, you can.
and I engage with everybody, right? So if you have questions and just want to engage, hit me on IG. I'm also on LinkedIn, just Jason Ferguson. And yeah, man, looking forward to connect. And then
That's
as far
awesome.
as the strategy is concerned,
Yeah.
so there is a strategy that I used both professionally and personally when it comes to mindset. It's one of the things that I teach from stage. It's called RAMP, right? I call it ramp up. And
Yeah.
it's an acronym, of course. We love our acronyms.
Gotta have an
You
acronym. It's in
gotta
the
have the
handbook.
acronyms. It's called RAMP. It's RAMP, radical accountability, authenticity, mission driven habits, and pathological optimism. And these are the
Yeah.
things that have led me professionally and personally to be the leader in my household, the leader at my job. And I have a free PDF download. It's like a checklist for
Yep.
anybody that wants to dive deeper, go
Yeah, you do.
faster. Go to JF Inspires /ramp up, and you
Yeah.
could download it totally free. Use it on a Monday. Check that list off on a Friday, and holler at me if it helped you dominate your week. All right.
Trust me. Yeah, you're going to want to put this ramp checklist someplace where you can see it often, and probably put it on the fridge so your family sees it, all that stuff. It'll be be rocket fuel for what you want to do. Jason, my man, thank you for bringing the gold. Thank you for being real and raw as you always are, but thanks for bringing the wisdom and the heart, brother. I so appreciate you. I'm so excited for this book, and grateful that you're in the world and teaching the world. So thanks for taking the time being with us.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me and, giving me a platform to share my story, lend my voice and speak to your audience, man. I don't take that for granted. And I appreciate you trusting me with your audience, man. Exciting times. And I'm also equally as grateful.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. This is great.